black silence of space, our home appears as a fragile crescent against an infinite void, a delicate curve of blue, white, and green, wrapped in the thinnest of halos. From this height, the continents are mere hints of texture under the swirl of clouds, and the Pacific Ocean is a deep, endless blue, stretching far beyond the curve of sight. This is the view from Orion, NASA's deep space crew vehicle, returning from its maiden voyage around the moon. Orion is a spacecraft built with a purpose: to take human beings farther than any crewed vehicle since Apollo. It measures 5 meters across and just over 5 meters tall, with a total mass of nearly 26 metric tons when fully outfitted for flight. At its heart is the crew module, a pressurized living and working space capable of supporting 4 astronauts for weeks in deep space. Around it, the European-built service module supplies propulsion, electrical power, thermal control, and water. Every system is designed for missions lasting far longer than those of Apollo, with modern redundancies and computer automation to safeguard its crew. Its outer skin is a patchwork of high-strength aluminum lithium alloy panels, micrometeoroid protection, and thermal insulation. Inside, shock-mounted seats to absorb landing forces, control displays that can operate in touchscreen or manual modes, and a life support system that recycles air and water with far greater efficiency than any previous U.S. spacecraft. Beneath the crew module lies its most vital layer of armor, the heat shield. Today, Orion carries no astronauts. Instead, its seats are occupied by instrumented mannequins, radiation sensors, and racks of electronics recording every moment of the mission. But every switch, screen, and hatch is in place exactly as it will be when a crew flies. In deep space over the past 25 days, Orion has passed through Earth's magnetosphere, entered a distant retrograde orbit around the Moon, and traveled 1.4 million miles in total. It has proven its navigation, communication, and power systems under conditions no human-rated spacecraft has faced in decades. Now the final test remains: the high-speed return to Earth. Far below, the Pacific Ocean spreads unbroken to the horizon. The surface glints in the sunlight, broken only by drifting cloud shadows. This is Mission Control's voice is calm and precise. Velocity 24,532 miles per hour. Reentry corridor locked. Systems nominal. At that speed, Orion crosses the length of Manhattan in less than 1/10 of a second. Every fraction of a degree in its entry angle matters. Too steep, and the spacecraft will endure G-forces and heating beyond its limits. Too shallow, and it could ricochet off the atmosphere and skip back into space. At the edge of the planet's limb, a faint silver-blue haze marks the exosphere, the outermost layer of our atmosphere. In this realm, air molecules are so sparse they can travel kilometers before striking another. Below lies the thermosphere, where the few atoms present are energized by ultraviolet light from the sun to searing temperatures. Despite these high thermodynamic temperatures, the air is too thin to heat a spacecraft much, yet. Orion is about to plunge into layers where density rises exponentially, and that will change everything. The heat shield at Orion's base is a product of decades of research and heritage. Avcoat, its ablative material, was first used to protect Apollo astronauts during re-entry from the Moon. For Artemis, it has been reformulated and applied in a precision-filled honeycomb structure of silica glass cells. Each cell is individually filled with resin, cured, and machined to exact tolerances. This shield works by charring and vaporizing on contact with extreme heat, carrying the energy away in the gas it releases. Sunlight still dances across the spacecraft's surface, and for the moment, the view outside the windows is serene, a jewel of a planet turning slowly below. But ahead, the first faint shimmer in the air becomes visible. Orion slams into denser air, and in an instant, the physics of high-speed reentry takes hold. At over Mach 30, the gas in front of Orion is compressed so violently that molecules break apart into a plasma, a mixture of charged particles that glows with intense light. This sheath wraps the capsule entirely, shifting in hue from blinding white-orange at the nose to deep crimson along the edges, with faint green fringes where trace elements interact with the flow. Mission Control begins the countdown. Blackout in 3. The capsule's blunt shape is the key to its survival. While a pointed nose would slice through the air more efficiently, it would also keep the hottest gases in close contact with the spacecraft, allowing deadly heat to soak in. Orion's rounded base pushes that shock wave outward, keeping the hottest plasma at a distance. Through Orion's forward windows, the plasma flow looks like molten sunlight pouring past. The view is mesmerizing, but the forces at work are immense. Temperatures over 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit, pressures strong enough to shake the spacecraft, and a rate of deceleration that can briefly quadruple a crew's weight. Then, a change. Through gaps in the glow, the deep blue curve of Earth appears again. Orion is about to perform a maneuver that no crewed spacecraft returning from deep space has ever attempted, the skip reentry. Using its lift-generating shape, the capsule pitches upward slightly, climbing into thinner air. Like a flat stone skipping across a pond, Orion rises briefly, shedding speed before diving again. This method spreads the heating load over 2 separate atmospheric entries, reduces the peak G-forces from a crushing 9 to a far more tolerable 4, and allows the spacecraft to adjust its landing point by hundreds of miles if needed. It is a technique long considered by engineers, but never before executed at lunar return speeds. The timing is precise. The wrong angle or duration could cause dangerous heating or loss of control. But Orion's guidance system, constantly adjusting its trajectory, executes perfectly. Mission Control confirms. Trajectory holding. First skip complete. The capsule arcs upward once more, ready for the final plunge to Earth. The second plunge begins. After the skip's brief respite, Orion is now committed to its final descent. The capsule is still moving at several kilometers per second, far faster than any commercial aircraft, faster than most meteors when they first appear in the sky. The thin air of the upper atmosphere is thickening rapidly, and with each second, the drag multiplies. The heat shield, already scorched black from the first pass, once again finds itself at the center of a furnace. Superheated gases slam into its surface, peeling away more layers of avcoat in a process. This is the point where the deceleration peaks. The aerodynamic forces now acting on Orion are immense, slowing it from hypersonic to subsonic speeds in a matter of minutes. In a crewed mission, astronauts would feel their weight multiply fourfold, their bodies pressing into the seats, arms feeling heavy, voices deepening slightly under the increased load. Mission Control calls. Blackout should clear momentarily. Signal acquisition expected. The glow outside fades as the plasma dissipates. The air around Orion is still hot from friction, shimmering like heat over asphalt. But now sunlight reflects off the capsule's surface once again. The shape of the spacecraft, a product of decades of aerodynamic refinement, maintains a layer of high-pressure air ahead of it, cushioning the descent and giving its guidance system fine control over its path. Through the forward-facing windows, the Pacific now dominates the view. The ocean's surface, speckled with whitecaps, stretches beyond sight. Here and there, faint green smudges mark shallow reefs or island chains. Velocity, 650 miles per hour. Drogue parachute deployment in 2 minutes. The sky deepens into the bright azure of the lower atmosphere. Orion is descending through the troposphere, the dense, weather-filled layer of air that blankets our planet. The temperature outside is now far lower than it was during the fiery re-entry, only a few degrees above freezing, But inside, the cabin remains stable and temperate. At 24,000 feet, a crucial sequence begins. Small panels on the capsule's surface are jettisoned, tumbling away into the sea. These covers have protected the parachutes from heat and debris during launch and re-entry. Now the compartments are exposed, each chute packed with precision by riggers who fold every fold, stitch and tie, according to procedures refined over years of testing. Inside each compartment is a mortar, a small explosive charge designed to hurl the parachutes clear of the capsule before they inflate. The first to fire are the drogue parachutes, two small but powerful canopies, each about 7 meters across. Their job is to slow the capsule modestly, but, more importantly, to stabilize it. Without them, Orion might tumble or spin, making main parachute deployment dangerous. The mortars fire with a sharp thump, and in less than... With Orion now under control, the most dramatic moment of descent begins. The deployment of the main parachutes. 3 massive canopies emerge, each with a surface area larger than a basketball court. They open in stages to prevent the sudden jerk of full inflation from damaging the rigging or the spacecraft itself. At first, they are reefed, partially closed by loops of cord. Seconds later, those cords release, and the parachutes blossom into their full 35-meter span. The transformation is breathtaking. The descent rate drops from over 100 miles per hour to just 20. The vast red and white canopies billow against the blue sky, their colors chosen for maximum visibility to recovery forces on the ocean. The system is designed with redundancy. Orion could land safely under only 2 of the 3 mains, but all 3 are healthy, their lines taut in the wind. At 2,500 feet, the surface of the Pacific is close enough for details to stand out. The shimmer of sunlight on wave crests, the movement of swell patterns, the faint shadow of Orion's own parachutes sweeping across the water. Recovery ships, positioned miles away, track the capsule's slow descent and adjust their headings to meet it. 500 feet. The water's texture becomes clear. Rolling swells, each several meters across, moving lazily under a midday sun. The parachutes sway gently in the wind, keeping Orion pointed upright. 50 feet. Then, contact. A plume of water erupts around the capsule, glittering in the sunlight as it falls back into the sea. The sound, if you were close enough to hear it, would be a deep, heavy slap, followed by a rush of displaced water. Orion bobs upright, a stable one landing. This is the best-case scenario for crew safety. The hatch above the waterline, the cabin upright, and all recovery operations simplified. Within moments, 4 bright orange segments inflate around the base of the capsule. The crew module uprighting on the deck of the USS Portland. A massive crane swings the steel capture collar over the side. Lowered into the water, it is guided into place by the divers, locking onto the capsule's base. Once secured, the tow begins, slow and deliberate, toward the ship's open stern. The USS Portland's well deck, partially flooded, acts like a private harbor. As Orion is drawn inside, the ship shields it from ocean swells. Once it is fully inside, pumps begin to drain the deck, lowering the water level until the capsule rests in a steel cradle. Recovery divers climb back aboard their boats, their task in the water complete. The spacecraft is now safe, secure, and ready for the next phase, detailed inspection and data retrieval. With Orion secure in the well deck of the USS Portland, the roar of ocean swells fades. The massive steel gates at the stern close slowly, sealing the space from the open sea. Pumps hum to life, draining thousands of gallons of water until the capsule rests dry and steady in its cradle. Above, on the deck, recovery teams step into the sheltered bay, their boots clanging against the metal floor. The air here smells of salt water and machinery, Diesel exhaust from the ship's engines mixed with the faint, acrid scent of charred avcoat from the heat shield. The surface of the capsule is mottled black and brown, the result of ablative layers vaporizing during reentry. These patterns aren't just battle scars, they are data. Each mark a record of airflow, heating, and material performance. Divers peel off their wetsuits, stowing gear while technicians approach Orion with long camera poles and inspection lights. Every inch of the spacecraft is photographed. The seams between panels, the docking hatch, the forward bay covers, the parachute compartment doors. Even small scratches are documented, because in aerospace engineering, nothing is too small to matter. Inside Orion, the cabin is still powered. Hundreds of sensors continue to log data, temperatures at key points on the heat shield, the strain on structural members, the vibration profile throughout reentry. The onboard computers have recorded the timing of each event in microseconds, when the blackout began and ended, when the drogues fired, when the mains reefed and unreefed. One focus will be the heat shield. Engineers will want to see how evenly the avcoat ablated, whether any unexpected erosion patterns appeared, and how the shield handled the 2 heating cycles of skip reentry. Another area of interest will be micrometeoroid impacts. In deep space, far from the protective blanket of Earth's atmosphere, even a particle the size of a grain of sand can strike at tens of thousands of miles per hour, leaving a crater in the spacecraft's surface. Identifying and mapping these impacts will help improve shielding for long-duration missions. While the technical work begins, the broader achievement is clear. This mission has proven that Orion can survive the journey from lunar orbit and return its crew, when that day comes, safely to Earth. Artemis II will repeat much of this flight, but with astronauts aboard. They will witness the plasma streaming past the windows, feel the gentle lift of the skip maneuver, and hear Mission Control's voice break through the static as blackout ends. Artemis III will take the next step, flying to the lunar gateway and transferring astronauts to a lander for descent to the moon's surface. For the first time since 1972, humans will stand on lunar soil, but Artemis is not stopping there. These missions are part of a deliberate sequence, a crawl, walk, run approach to deep space exploration. Orion's systems are designed with Mars in mind. Its life support is capable of operating for weeks without resupply, recycling water and oxygen with high efficiency. Its avionics can navigate autonomously over vast distances, a necessity when communication delays make real-time control from Earth impossible. Its robust re-entry system, from the ablative shield to the parachutes to the flotation gear, is built to handle the even higher speeds of a return from Mars. Outside Well deck, the Pacific glitters in the sun. The ship turns toward its home port, a slow, steady journey of several days. Seabirds wheel overhead, aloud, offering. In the years ahead, this scene will repeat, but with astronauts aboard. We will watch them climb the launch tower, strap into their seats, and ride a pillar of fire into the sky. We will track them as they loop around the moon, their voices carried back across 250,000 miles of empty space. And we will see them return, their capsule blazing through the atmosphere before settling gently into the ocean's embrace. From the silence of the lunar void to the roar of re-entry, from the slow ballet of parachutes unfurling to the hiss of seawater draining from the well deck, Orion's first mission has proven that the path home from deep space is open to us once again. The moon awaits, and beyond it, Mars. These voyages will not be easy. They will demand the best of our technology, our teamwork, and our courage. But each mission builds the foundation for the next. Each splashdown is not just an ending, but a beginning. This capsule's journey began on a launch pad in Florida and ended here in the Pacific. The next Orion to fly will carry human explorers, their eyes fixed on the moon, their thoughts perhaps on the long journey to Mars. step through the hatch and see home. The sky, the sun, the sea, and the people who brought them back. Today proves the journey home is possible.